What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench for another episode of our F9F-8P Photo Cougar here for the Recon Group Build. Today we are moving forward with paint, so let's go ahead and see what we can do. Now last time I went ahead and overcoated everything with that gray primer. It's looking pretty nice, so it's nice to see it kind of come together. We do have a couple of seams, however, like the very top of the nose. We have one seam there. I want to go ahead and plug one of these holes in the center of the fuselage, as I don't see any references that show two lights up on top, and I have a couple of seams on the bottom I want to go ahead and touch up. But other than that, we are looking pretty decent. So I think we're in good position to go ahead, fix up those seams, and start the painting process. Now for our seam fixing, we're going to go ahead and use some super glue, just a little bit of sanding files here, maybe some sandpaper, and we're just going to go ahead and fair all these in to make sure that we have the proper panel lines available, and then we might come back in and maybe rescribe a few here and there to make them a little bit more prominent. But I think we are ready to go ahead, jump into that first time lapse, push forward, see what we can do. So let's get going. Alright everybody, we are back, and as you can see, our Photo Cougar has all our seams nicely taken care of. We have overcoated that with some Stauner gray primer, so now we're going to move on to our pre-shade, our contrast colors, and our top coat. So that's going to be kind of fun. So we're going to use some Insignia White by Mission Models for the undersurface of the aircraft. Then we're going to be using some light Gull gray, also by Mission Models, for the top of the aircraft, and we'll be using that thinned down with some Vallejo thinner and flow improver. Then of course our tried and true NATO Black for pre-shade with a little bit of Tamiya flat brown. I think we'll be in good position. Let's get it done. All right, everybody, we are back. And as you can see, our Photo Cougar is looking the part. We have our light ghost gray up on top. We have our Insignia White on the bottom. We've got our pre-shade with NATO Black and a little bit of Tamiya flat brown, just to kind of pick out a couple panels to give them a bit of a contrast. Now we need to go ahead and paint the red around the intakes, eventually painting the front of the leading edges here silver, end of the wings red, as well as white here on the flaps, and then one side trim tab, but only one side. And then, of course, the tail. Now, the tail looks to be all white, actually, in a lot of references. So we'll go ahead and paint that up with a silver trim along the front leading edge. And then we have to figure out what to do with these flaperons. Now, my instructions tell me that they should be white. And luckily, I've actually gone back to my references and I found my color photo of this exact aircraft. On the back cover here, the very top image, this is what we're going to be building. And as you can see, the flaperon and the flap are all pretty much the same sheen and the same color. I can't really tell what the rear tail planes are, if they're white or if they're gold gray, but I'm going to go ahead and go with white with that silver trim, and I think we'll be looking pretty snazzy. Now here we have our silver trim on the front of the wings. We have our very tip of the wing there, red on both sides, silver of course here on the tail planes, and then moving over to the front of the aircraft, we've got our black anti-glare panel with our red mid-air refueling probe with black and silver tip. So that should be pretty easy. Let's jump into that time lapse, get it all painted up. Let's do it. And after quite a bit of masking and very careful detail painting, as you can see, we have our Photo Cougar more or less in all of its colors. So on the bottom of the aircraft, we have our black areas right here around the air brakes. We've got our red intakes. We've got our white flaps and our white flaperons with one white trim tab. We have, of course, our red wing tip. We've got a little bit of black up here on the top of the tail, matching, of course, the front anti-glare panel. And then we have our red mid-air refueling probe and our black tip. We actually need a little bit of silver right there on the top of that. And of course, we need the silver around the leading edges of the wings and the tail planes. But for the most part, I'm happy with how this is coming together. I wanted to go ahead and just kind of let that sit for a bit though, make sure everything is nicely cured before I come back with that silver. And as far as I know, that actually isn't a natural metal, it's a painted silver. Now, of course, we also went ahead and touched up some of the other parts and pieces. For example, we have the rear decking for the canopy. We have the rear canopy section. We've got all the wheels, of course. We can go ahead and paint those tires, that tire black. And then we have the side door for the photo equipment. So honestly, we are looking pretty decent. But that's going to go ahead and do it for us today, guys. Next time we'll be back and we'll go ahead and tackle the leading edges. And I'm going to probably paint those a nice aluminum color. And I think I'll use the Vallejo aluminum. That usually hasn't failed me yet. So I'll probably end up using that. And we're going to use that on both the upper part of the wing and the lower part of the wing. These very front leading edges are actually silver. So I need to go ahead and apply that, as well as the leading edges here on the back tail plane also should be silver. And then I think at that point, we can go ahead and overcoat everything with a nice coat of gloss, get some decaling done, get some weathering done, and call this thing done. So until our next episode, guys, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool, and we'll see you back here on episode number 12 for the F9F-8P Photo Cougar here on the Recon Group Build. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you soon.